Through this video, we shall be learning two primary aspects of meridian transit. Firstly, determining the time of the meridian transit of Sun using the GHA, and at that time, using the same declination of the Sun, determine own latitude or latitude of the observer at Sun's meridian transit. Coming to the definition of meridian transit. It is nothing but an astronomical event when the body passes through the meridian of the observer. As the name suggests, it is the transit of the body through the meridian of the observer, also popularly known as MURPASS, which is nothing but acronym for meridian passage. Well, why is it so important? You must be wondering. To understand this, as you can see on the celestial sphere, at the time of meridian transit, the body passes through the meridian of the observer, and at that time, the pole, the body, and the zenith of the observer are all in the straight line. This coincidence is of advantage to us, whether be it upper transit or lower transit. We shall see how in subsequent parts of this lecture. To further simplify it, we can slice open this celestial spheres into a celestial meridian. And since at the time of Murpas, the body is on the celestial meridian of the observer, so as we can see, the altitude which gives us the co-altitude is directly related to the observer's latitude and the declination of the body. Again, this gives rise to multiple cases which shall be discussed in detail in this chapter. But before that, we need to determine the time of Murpas. So let us assume you have gone on a round the globe sailing. You are in open seas, in no man's water, and sailing around. Suddenly, on a bright evening, you notice sun at an angle and you decide to take a position line from the sun. You note down the angle and you note down the time. Now the confusion. Which time do you note? Since you are in no country's water, you would like to note down the zone time. Now the zone time is most accurate at the central meridian of the zone, although it applies to a band of meridians plus minus 7.5 degrees both sides of the zone meridian. Also remember that the sun moves east to west at a rate of 4 degrees per minute, which converts to 15 degrees of longitude per hour, which again converts to 4 minutes of time per degree of longitude. So, if you are in a zone centered around 120 degrees west and your current longitude is 113 degrees west, that is to say, your Shillong is 7 degrees east, this Shillong will convert to a time of 28 minutes. So, a zone time of 1130 is equivalent to an LMT of 1158 for you. By the same logic, if you are on a meridian of 125 degrees west, your Shillong will be 5 degrees west and time difference of 20 minutes, and therefore your LMT will be 20 minutes before zone time, that is 1110. This 4-minute rule can be used to determine the time of Murpas at your position. Consider an example that on 22nd June 2021, you are at a place where latitude is 48 degrees 8.5 minutes north and longitude is 123 degrees 26.1 minute west. That is to say, you are in a zone with number plus 8. Now, from the nautical almanac for 22nd June, you see that the Murpas timing is 1159 GMT. Now, as the Murpas timing is 1159 GMT. That means that the MURPAS will be at the same time of LMT across all meridians. And since you are following zone time, so the MURPAS will be at 1159 zone time at the central meridian of your zone. Now you can use the 4-minute rule and the Shillong to get the zone time of MURPAS at your position. In this case, the Shillong is 3 degrees and 26 decimal 1 minute west, which equates to 13 minutes and 44 seconds. So you can safely say that the time of MURPAS at your longitude will be 121244. Point to note here is that the almanac also gives the equation of time for that day. However, for the ease of calculation, that have been safely ignored in this example. For accuracy, you must include the equation of time to find out the exact zone time of MURPAS. Now that you have the time for MURPAS, you can anticipate approximately 20 minutes before that and set up for your sun fix. If you are in open seas, you can go to the deck of the ship, or if you are on land, you must look out for an open space where sun sighting is not hindered. Go to the spot, fix up your sextant, which is nothing but a device to measure the vertical angles. Once your sextant is fixed, be ready for your astronomical sun fix. Focus your grume onto the sun and keep following it as it rises. You will notice that the sun starts going above the grume, and then you must keep adjusting your sextant so as to increase the angle and keep the sun at the center of the grume till the time sun becomes stable for some time before going below the horizon or the center of the grume. At that time, leave the sextant there and do not follow the sun. What you have essentially done is notice the highest altitude of the sun for the day, which is also the altitude for MURPAS. That completes your first step for your astronomical fix, which is obtaining the observed altitude at the time of MURPAS. Once you have the altitude, you subtract it from 90 degrees to obtain the co-alt. Also, from the nautical almanac, you can find out the declination of sun for that day. Once you have the declination and the co-alt, you can combine them to extract your latitude. Remember, latitude is given by co-alt plus minus declination. As was covered in the earlier part of this video, that the latitude and declination are related depending on various cases. To enumerate it, let us revisit the OCM. As you can see, the observer's zenith and the body and the pole lies on the same arc at the time of MURPAS. So, when looking from above, they would appear to be on a straight line. To further simplify, let us have a linear look of the same situation. As you can see in this example, the observer is north of equator and the sun is to the south of equator. The navigation triangle is formed by the sun, observer and the North Pole. Just before the MURPAS, the sun will be slightly to the southeast of the observer, like so. At the time of MURPAS, this navigation triangle will compress into a straight line as depicted. As you can see, the azimuth at this time is 180. Also, the co-altitude will be the one displayed on the slide. Again, After crossing the Mur Pass, Sun will go further to the west and reconvert back to a navigation triangle like so. Now if we go back to the diagram of meridian transit, we can see that the observer's latitude can be easily determined by subtracting the declination from the co-ordinate. Now let us see different cases of the relative position of Sun and the observer. In this first case, the Sun is in the northern hemisphere and observer is further to the north. If you refer to the OCM, you can easily see that the latitude can be determined as the sum of co-altitude and declination. In this case, the azimuth will be 180, taking the values of altitude as 70 degrees, co-altitude comes out to be 20 degrees, and a declination of 10 degrees north will give us a latitude of 30 degrees north. In the second case, both are in the same name, however, the Sun is to the north of the observer. Again, if we refer to the OCM, we can see that the latitude comes out to be the difference of declination and co-altitude. Also, the azimuth observed will be 360 in this case, which is self-explanatory. Taking the values of altitude as 80 degrees, co-altitude comes out to be 10 degrees. And assuming a declination of 20 degree north in this example, the latitude comes out to be 10 degree north for the observer. In the third case, both the Sun and the observer are in contrary names. In this example, Sun is in the northern hemisphere and the observer in the southern hemisphere. The latitude can be derived from the OCM as the difference of co-altitude and the declination. The azimuth in this case will be 360, and assuming a value of 30 degrees for the altitude, co-altitude comes out to be 60 degrees south and the latitude comes out to be 40 degrees south. Having gone through various cases, we can now formulate a step-by-step method of calculating our Mur Pass fix. Shown on the slide is one such tabulated format, wherein on the left is the determination of time of transit and the declination from the almanac. On the top is the sextant data including the errors and the correction, and on the top right is the section for determination of altitude. The bottom right section consists of the calculation part, which lists all the entries in a single column from the altitude to the declination to the sextant correction and ultimately leading to the zenith fix or the Mur Pass fix. Other than fetching marks and impressing your friends and colleagues, astronomical fixes can be used as a last resort in case of a survival scenario. So now let us quickly revise the complete lecture. We studied about meridian transit or Mur Pass, which is nothing but an astronomical event wherein a celestial body is on the upper branch of the observer's meridian. In case of Sun, LHA of Sun becomes 000, the local apparent time is 1200 hours, and the Sun reaches max altitude for that day. In case of an astronomical body, the azimuth of the body is 0 degree or 180 degrees. The navigation triangle collapses into a straight line. The pole, the observer's zenith, and the body all lie on the observer's celestial meridian. And as seen, the observer's latitude can be found by simple addition or subtraction. So next time when you don't have any equipment for navigation or ascertaining your position, you know where to look up to. Thank you and have a good day.